To enter, drink with the RAV hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go!
The Charlie Kirk Show starts now.
I have to just tell the truth. There are people in this hostile anti-black administration that would rather black Americans pick cotton than pick the president, than pick their congressperson, than pick a senator.
We're colonizing Memphis. So we don't have an instance of help. He thinks he's helping by being benevolent. That's horse manure.
Well, let's be very clear about what's going on right now, which is a systematic effort to dismantle black political representation in the House of Representatives. What we're seeing amounts to the biggest reversal of black political power since the Voting Rights Act itself. It is wrong, it is unfair, and we never should have been here in the first place.
But we know that this is a racist Supreme Court. We know that the President of the United States is afraid that we're going to take back the majority. So we're not being naive. We know he's going to come after us with every illegal, unlawful thing that he can do.
Well, look, we see what they're trying to do. They're trying to rig maps and dilute African-American voices in the House of Representatives. This is overt. We know exactly the end they're trying to create, which is a removal, in some states completely, of black representation in the House of Representatives. This smacks of the post-Reconstruction period. There they used terror. There they used poll taxes. There they lynched people. And they used the law, a broken law, a moral law, to try to stop blacks from voting and having representation.
I cannot understand, and maybe you can explain it to me, how anyone could be black and be a MAGA supporter right now with what has happened, especially with what before that for me, but what has happened with voting rights in this country and what they're doing. I don't get it. And some people are defending it, even black MAGA, black folks, black lawmakers. There are words that I just won't say here, but I think it's inappropriate. I will say self-hating is one term that I would use for it. Naive is another term that I would use for it. And then a milder term would be pick-me is another term that I would use for it.
With these new maps, we know that analysis by Fair Fight and Black Voters Matter show that we could lose 19 to 20 congressional seats, but we could lose up to 191 state legislative seats. This is a national attempt to misuse democratic institutions to suppress all of the communities who fight for democracy in this country.
It's hard to believe that it would take 2 centuries for the Lord to raise up a great man to bring that ballroom finally to stand where it needs to stand. It's extraordinary. We only had to wait 200 years.
250 years ago today, on May 17, 1776, the Second Continental Congress called for a day of humility, fasting, and prayer. Just weeks before they declared independence, our founders didn't stride forward in pride. They knelt. They asked for God's mercy. They asked for his guidance because they knew that the cause before them was beyond their own strength. Now today, exactly 250 years later, we gather here on the National Mall to do the same, to give thanks, to ask for forgiveness, and to humbly ask once more for God's mercy and guidance as we enter the next 250 years of this republic.
It was obvious to the founders that our faith was the ground upon which America stands. It was our very foundation as a people. And if this foundation were to crumble, so too would the very values that make us Americans. From our religious inheritance comes many of the virtues and institutions we most cherish as a people. Our system of justice, our generosity to neighbors, our respect for conscience, and the moral discipline necessary for liberty itself. As my dear friend, the late great Charlie Kirk put it, all law reflects a morality. Neither law nor morality appears in a vacuum, but ultimately come from religion. And the morality and religion that formed the American consciousness were decidedly Christian, founded upon the principles and the divinity of Jesus Christ.
People are being given 20 days to move their savings out of bank accounts.
This world changes with every headline, every trend, every opinion, but truth doesn't move. The Truth Bombers dropped a new anthem for everyone still standing firm. Faith over fear, conviction over compromise. Bible and a backbone. A bold new release through Real America's Music. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Bible and a Backbone by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. Stand tall, hold strong. Bible and a Backbone out now.
I don't bend for every breeze. I don't drop down to my knees for opinions that don't stand.
When it's breaking, we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking
news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by
coming from every angle with the will to deceive. Fear not. You found the place for truth. The voice of a generation that still has the will to believe in the greatest country in the history of the world. This is the Charlie Kirk Show. Buckle up. Here we go.
All right, welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show. It is Monday, May 18th, 2026. We are in the Phoenix Y-Refi Studios. Honored to be with you all from sea to shining sea. How you doing, Blake?
I mean, I still don't have my microphone.
We're working on it, man.
So
we're working on it.
We've been working on it for several weeks. How long does it take to make one of those?
I'm going to call the guys over at Y-Refi. We'll figure it out. I'm told it's coming. This was a prototype, but it looks gorgeous. Here at the Y-Refi Studios, lots to get into. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I actually relaxed a little bit. It was truly, truly amazing. I don't know. I asked you how your weekend was, and Blake, in customary fashion, said it was fine. That's about all I got out of Blake. All right, so breaking news that we want to get to here. Lots to cover this morning. We've got Eric Metaxas, who was at the Rededicate 250 at the half hour. Then we got Alex Marlow from Breitbart. We're going to talk politics and primaries and all that stuff. We got Massey, we got Cassidy, lots going on there. And then Eli Steele, the son of the great Shelby Steele, talking about race relations, what's really behind all of our dysfunction. So a packed show. We've got some Iran news to get to, of course, repeatedly. But Luigi Mangione is back in the news this morning. Obviously, that's a topic that strikes near and dear to our heart here on the Charlie Kirk Show. Luigi Mangione, in a big way, contributed to this rise of assassination culture. It's something that Charlie was very worried about. And just this morning, Judge Caro, who's overseeing the state case here, has ruled that the backpack that was next to Luigi Mangione in the McDonald's where he was arrested, so he's sitting at a table, there's a backpack either on a table adjacent to him or on the floor, and it has been ruled that the contents of that backpack are inadmissible.
That includes his cell phone.
They will be suppressed. Yes.
His cell phone, his passport, MAGA, I assume, is it a gun magazine?
Yes, a bullet magazine.
Bullet magazine, wallet, and computer chip.
Computer chip. I'm not sure what the computer chip is. Here, let's go ahead and play that scene from inside the courtroom. SOT 13.
I find that the search of the backpack at the McDonald's was improper, warrantless search, that the backpack was not within the immediate control or grabbable area of the defendant, and further, the people failed to demonstrate exigent circumstances. Therefore, those items found in the backpack during the search at the McDonald's will be suppressed. However, the people have established that the subsequent search of the backpack at the station was a valid inventory search, and therefore, the items recovered at the station will not be suppressed.
All right, so the items recovered at the station include the gun, which is key, obviously, here.
But just to go into this rule, because I had to look it up when this ruling came through, no, it is typically not illegal to search a suspect's backpack when they have been apprehended under the search incident to a lawful arrest exception to the Fourth Amendment, meaning that for the officer's safety, if the backpack is in or around the person that's been arrested, the suspect in this case, then the immediate association with the suspect that's been lawfully apprehended is then fair game. They should be able to search that. There is, however, some exceptions. So if the suspect is in the car, in like the police car in the back, he's handcuffed, and they haven't searched the backpack yet, they may need to get a warrant for that. So this looks to be basically a gray area. My question for this judge would be, what was to say that there wasn't a bomb inside that backpack?
Yeah, it's very strange. You could hear it in the clip where he's saying, essentially, the backpack was basically, it sounds like too far away from Luigi when they detained him.
What's the distance?
That if he were holding the backpack, they could have searched it.
Yeah.
But I guess it was maybe on the other side of the table, or the cops could get between him. It sounds very, very ticky-tack either way.
Very ticky-tack. So just so you know, the idea of a backpack or a possession being in the immediate association or vicinity of a suspect, this includes clothing, wallets, purses, and backpacks that the person is wearing, carrying, or had in their immediate possession. The justification is officer safety. Are there any weapons? And preserving evidence. So if the backpack is separated from the suspect, as the suspect is being secured, handcuffed in a patrol car, under control with no realistic access. Some courts, like the Fourth Circuit, have provided the reasoning that may require a warrant or other justification, treating it more like a container as opposed to part of the person. So that's obviously what the judge has ruled here. Apparently body cam footage was used in this hearing to come to this ruling. Very, very frustrating, though, because obviously they had probable cause. They checked his ID. They arrested him at the McDonald's. The backpack was on the floor or on the table. So two questions then immediately come to mind. What is the distance away from the suspect that it all of a sudden becomes a warranted search? And by the way, again, what if there was a bomb in the backpack? This feels absolutely like the judge is sympathetic to Luigi Mangione, a cold-blooded murderer, an assassin.
Well, so, okay, on the flip side, we should emphasize, you see two different headlines, and it kind of shows, I think, different perspectives of media outlets. Because some, Fox certainly, they're leading with all of this evidence is getting suppressed, it's a big win. But other publications are emphasizing they are allowed to use his gun, and they are allowed to use his diary, and I suspect that means they're allowed to use his manifesto, which is 260 pages or words approximately, saying basically he's motivated by how angry he is about the healthcare system. And that's pretty strong evidence overall. So I think we can be hopeful. There's still a lot here. What I will say is the uneasy feeling I've had, you've had, I think a lot of people have had, is it seems like every couple months we get a new development and it's always away from what we want. So first they're going to seek the death penalty with him. Now they can't seek the death penalty for whatever reason. Then now they're suppressing some evidence. Maybe next time other evidence is going to get suppressed. It's always one little development after another in favor of this guy who, we should remind everyone, heinously murdered, it seems, a stranger in cold blood, a father, because he was angry about the industry the man worked in, which the man did not create, the man did not really perpetuate. He was just a CEO of a health insurance company. And by the way, guys, I'll have you know, health insurance is not the reason U.S. healthcare is expensive.
No. Well, this is the thing. So Big Pharma's watching this whole show trial go on, and they're overjoyed, right? That was an observation that Walter Kern made, and I agree with it. And basically, it's a giant distraction from the fact that this man is a cold-blooded killer who is sparking this rise in assassination culture. We'll let Charlie take it away here. SOT 16.
Look, you have two options. You can go MAGA or Mangioneism. You can go MAGA or you can go Mamdaniism. You can go MAGA or you can go Mohammedism. It's very funny how all the M's, MAGA is the only option on the right. Neoconservatives are not coming back. The corporate oligarchs, we're not going to let him. So MAGA has cemented the worldview of the American right. But the left, we don't know. It could go Mangione, which is the most extreme. You could go Mamdani, which is very, very extreme, or you go Mohammedism, which is just, Muslim Islamic takeover. You get reform or you get revolution. We at MAGA want to reform stuff. Political undercurrent underneath Mangione that cannot be ignored, that should not be dismissed. And that political reality is on the American left.
100% right. I want to tell you guys about strongcell.com. I am ready for it. I forgot to bring mine.
Where's mine? Got to get me mine. Otherwise, I can't drink it before you.
Here you go. I had a long weekend with 0 strong cell because I forgot to bring it home. So I'm stoked on. I'm going to have 2 today.
He's going to get sick again now.
What's that?
You're going to get sick again now.
No,
I have my strong cell every day. I am a picture of health. I never fall ill.
You do. You are a pretty healthy guy. Strongcell.com, promo code Charlie for 20% off at checkout, 90-day risk-free money-back guarantee. Get the NADH delivered straight to your cells. It is the enzyme that powers your cells. This stuff's the real deal, and we wouldn't be so behind it if it wasn't. Over 2 million units sold, and many of those to this audience, so please continue supporting strongcell.com. Get yours today. It may very well change what ails you, fix it, make it better. We believe it will. Strongcell.com, promo code Charlie. We'll be right back.
Exceptional design is the result of obsession.
This world changes with every headline, every trend, every opinion, but truth doesn't move. The Truth Bombers dropped a new anthem for everyone still standing firm. Faith over fear, conviction over compromise. Bible and a backbone. A bold new release through Real America's Music. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Bible and a Backbone by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. Stand tall, hold strong. Bible and a Backbone out now.
I don't bend for every breeze. I don't drop down to my knees for opinions that don't stand.
When it's breaking,
we're moving.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. News doesn't sleep. At Real America's Voice, we don't get to crash or lose focus. That's why we drink Soldier Fuel to stay ahead of the chaos, because we do this for you.
So good.
Soldier Fuel has no sugar, so no crash.
Now that's a game changer.
Here we go, all of us.
Wow, that's good.
I'm fueled up now.
Used by the U.S. military every day. Now available to you.
This is huge.
Built by Patriots for Patriots.
Now it's time for you to do the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Order Soldier Fuel, film yourself cracking one open, and taking the Soldier Fuel Challenge. Upload your video at soldierfuel.com/challenge, and you'll be entered to win a free shipment of Soldier Fuel.
That's what I'm talking about.
Your video could also be featured on air. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to soldierfuel.com/challenge to enter. Drink with the Rav Hosts drink, Soldier Fuel.
Let's go.
Hi, this is Chris from Wisconsin, and I love Real America's Voice because you have great news and a great chat family. God bless all of you.
My name is Sandy Zeiss. Rav is the greatest for me because I live alone, and when I'm watching in the morning, have my coffee, I feel like I'm talking with family.
Flashosaurus in the chat. I love Real America's Voice because I can watch news being delivered to me live while I chat with the family I love.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're here live at the Y-Refi Studios in Phoenix, Arizona. Lots to get to still, but first I want to tell you about Patriot Mobile. Everyday Americans make choices that shape our country's future, right down to which cell phone provider we support. And here's the deal. The other guys, the big carriers, they don't care what you believe. They don't care your politics, your values, but they will take your money and they will pump it into LGBTQIA, whatever. They will pump it into BLM. They will pump it into these far left NGOs that are destabilizing the country, getting illegals over the border, all that craziness. Not Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile are Christian conservatives. Glenn and Jenny Story, there are amazing patriots out of Texas. They're fighting in Texas. They're fighting all over the place. And they are an activist organization, essentially. And they're funded when you sign up for cell phone service. They have access to all 3 major U.S. carriers. They have 100% U.S.-based customer support team. You have unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, and more. They give excellent service. I will tell you, I know firsthand. I even have 2 different carriers on one phone. You can do that with the dual SIM through Patriot Mobile. And when you do that, you'll help grow a movement that is advancing the Christian conservative cause in this country. So this is the new paradigm. This is how we have to fight on all fronts. We can't just do business as usual. Nope. Switch over to Patriot Mobile today, and it's easier than ever. So if you want to do that, go to patriotmobile.com/Charlie. That's patriotmobile.com/Charlie, or call 972-PATRIOT and use promo code Charlie for a free month of service. All right. So want to get into Iran updates here. It's very important. Okay. So President Trump issued a couple new truce over the weekend. It felt like the rhetoric is ramping up once more because the back and forth seems to be with Iran via the Pakistanis impossible to reach a deal. Their whole strategy does seem to be waiting out the clock. So go ahead and throw up this truth. It says, for Iran, the clock is ticking and they better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them. Time is of the essence, President DJT. Now, this is in reaction to, again, negotiations that are ongoing that seem to be netting approximately zero. Now, over the weekend, we did hear reports that fuel shortages within Iran are starting to accumulate. This was from an Israeli source to Fox News, saying they're seeing lines at the gas pump. They are running out of energy, which is ironic. They're having to start plugging some of their wells, which, if you know anything about oil extraction, once you plug those wells, you might not be able to open them ever again. They've run out of storage. They're finding anything they can to store this. The economy's in free fall. Inflation's off the charts. And it doesn't seem to matter to these guys. They are simply playing the long game. They are basically pointing to the fact that America has a short amount of patience for this war, and that President Trump is incurring political costs, so they're going to wait it out.
It's in a lot of ways, it's that dynamic where they might be vastly weaker, but they also care vastly more. There was a line, Ho Chi Minh, who was the leader of North Vietnam, and supposedly he had a line that says, you can kill 100 of my guys for every one I kill of yours, but still I am going to win and you're going to lose because I am just that much more fanatical about it. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, their economy is vastly worse than ours. They've taken vastly more losses than us, but they're not a democracy. They don't have to worry about a midterm election. No. They don't have to worry about a Congress getting in the way. They can just say, we'll make our country suffer as much as it takes to drag this out.
Yeah. And here's the thing. At some point, there's really only 2 options left on the table. Either you decide to hit them hard again militarily, and you start taking out additional targets, and you accelerate the kinetic activity in the region. You break the ceasefire, and you make them cry uncle that way, or at least attempt to. I'm not sure you can, is essentially where we're at militarily, but that would be one way. You know, China has said that they were going to stop supplying anything to Iran based on that last meeting with President Xi and President Trump. However, they'll say a lot of things publicly. Whether they'll follow through on anything, we're still struggling to get China to follow through buying our soybeans, for goodness sakes. So that's a whole question. They said they were going to buy 500 Boeing planes. They've only bought 200. So on and so forth. This is the way that the Chinese work. So getting them to follow through with anything. We're also seeing reports that there is actual caravans going overland to get through the sea blockade through, about a dozen different countries from China over to Iran. So we know that they're still supplying them with something, right? The regime is desperate. They'll use other means, and those caravans have been ramping up. All right. So the question then is, can you simply declare victory, say, hey, we got what we could. We tried our best. We destroyed their military installations. We destroyed their nuclear capacity. Yeah, we'd love to have the nuclear dust. We'd love to have all the uranium out of there. Even President Trump said it would be very difficult for them to get that out. It would take a very, very long time. It's a question of whether or not they could get the nuclear dust out or not. But he said, I would feel better getting it. Okay. Well, you would feel better, but it's not necessarily a must-have, maybe. All right, so can you just declare victory and get out? Can we just say, hey, listen, it's up to the Iranian people now. We declare victory. Everything is copacetic as far as we're concerned. We did a good thing. We're out. If you push us again, we'll be back, but don't push us.
Well, the downside there is Iran has also shown they're willing to push it a little bit. And if they say, okay, well, we're going to go back to putting a toll on the straits, we're still going to close the strait.
Yeah, or you just, I guess option 3 would be status quo. You just keep the blockade up. But I'm telling you that the economic impact of that, a toll on a huge container of oil is one thing. Yeah, it drives up the price a little bit, maybe like $1 a barrel. But could you absorb it globally? Probably, right? So it's not ideal, but even the Chinese don't want that. So my point is, could you domestically, and here's the concern, if the audience is wondering why I'm concerned, domestically, this is having political ramifications. I am thinking about the midterms, and we want to win the midterms. There is a very good chance, based on redistricting, based on the Supreme Court decision, that we would be closer in the midterms than we thought, even with all the political headwinds, even given the the historic precedent of you usually lose seats during a midterm race when you're the incumbent power. So the question is, can we, when you got essentially what's left, like depending on whose math you're using, 11 to 14 toss-up seats, can you win half of those? Can you do that and retain control of the House? These are really, really important questions for the next 2 years of the Trump administration. Can you avoid impeachments? Can you avoid the House getting bogged down in constant investigations, chasing the tail, the mainstream news media, legacy media going crazy with every new thing that they come out, that Temu Obama comes out with? Can we avoid that fate? And I believe that a big chunk of that is, what is the price at the pump? What is going on in Iran? Desperately, I am one of those people that I want to see this wrapped up sooner than later.
We said at the outset that this was not something that the base had voted for, but if it ended in a few weeks, even if they were annoyed, they would get over it. But now those several weeks have passed. We're 2.5 months into it at this point. And if this is still going to the midterms, or when the midterms arrive, we should just be frank. I think it will be very bad for the party.
It'll be very bad. But we're holding out hope that there is a resolution in sight. I just don't see it yet. Eric Metaxas joins us next. We'll be right back.
250 years ago, ordinary men and women did something extraordinary.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, my name is Tracy Down from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Rashad from Boston, Massachusetts, and I love Real America's Voice. It is the best place for real news and content. Much love.
I'm Andy M., and I love Real America's Voice, where my voice counts and your voice counts. That is America's Voice.
Hi, this is Chris from Wisconsin, and I love Real America's Voice because we have great news and a great chat family. God bless all of you.
With fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. You know what else is a limited commodity, though? Well, that would be gold. They mine it out of the ground, and when it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't just print more of it, and that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversifying with gold. If you've been thinking about it for years now, but have still never moved some of your savings into physical gold, you may want to start now. The Birch Gold Group is who you may want to trust to help you with that. Now through May 29th, the Birch Gold Group is giving a first-time gold buyer a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. For details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, text the word America to the number 989898. The Birch Gold Group can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Again, simply text the word America to the number 989898 to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. Text America to the number 989898 today. Welcome back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. A couple of key pieces of evidence will be allowed in the upcoming trial of the 28-year-old accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. During a preliminary hearing this morning, the judge who will preside over the case said a gun and a notebook that prosecutors say linked the accused shooter to the killing can be used as evidence. The defense was hoping to exclude the items from the trial, arguing that they were seized illegally before a search warrant was obtained. While the ruling is a win for prosecutors, several other pieces of evidence will be suppressed because the judge says an initial search of the suspect's backpack was an improper warrantless search. A second search of the backpack at the police station was proper, though. The trial is set to start September 8th. A second federal trial is scheduled for October 13th. That's a quick check of your headlines. As always, we appreciate having you along for the ride. We're going to take a quick break, get you back to your regularly scheduled programming, which is the Charlie Kirk Show. Thanks so much for being here.
This movement will not be silenced. You're listening to The Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. About to welcome back to the show, Eric Metaxas. First, I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. For a lot of Americans, the healthcare system is reactive only. You get sick first, then you wait for an appointment. Insurance decides what you're allowed to have, what you're not. And suddenly, the medication you need is delayed or unavailable. You don't need to live that way. The whole pharmaceutical industry has been flipped on its head thanks to guys like All Family Pharmacy. They have completely changed the way you approach your pharmacy in your pharmaceuticals. So they have antibiotics, antivirals, Tamiflu, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, mebendazole, methylene blue, even your daily maintenance meds. They got all kinds of stuff, weight loss, all the things that you think you need from the pharmacy you can get through All Family Pharmacy. But this is about access, preparation, personal responsibility. Choose freedom. Choose the ability to get prepared in advance, not after you get sick. Choose the right pharmacy. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Kirk. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Kirk. Use code Kirk10 to save 10% on your next order. That's Kirk10. We love these guys. A licensed doctor reviews your request, so it's all on the up and up, and it comes to your door, straight to you. No driving around. It's perfect. All right, I want to welcome Eric Metaxas to the show, friend of the show. Eric, how you been, my friend?
I have been great. Praise God. As you know, I'm in the swamp today. I'm in Washington, D.C., as I was here yesterday. I know you're going to talk about it. I'm laughing before we even begin.
I mean, we could get to. So, all right, let's just get to it. I mean, but there's so much good to talk about that the way that they parsed your joke is hilarious. Okay, so
wait.
First, let's just start. Go ahead.
The press is bad. They mangled the joke.
The press is bad.
They screwed it up.
Breaking news. We should let's talk about the serious part first.
All right, let's do that.
Get to the funny thing. We will never stop. It's so funny, and it will keep people listening because you will not believe what we're going to share. But go ahead.
It's so ridiculous. Anyways, I'm going to play first of all Rededicate 250. This was an opportunity to rededicate our nation to prayer, to God, to worshiping the Lord. Basically, re-articulating what the founders believed, right? And what the founding of our nation was Christian. It was. And J.D. Vance did a great job. He gave a shout out to Charlie when he did it. And so I'll start there. SOT 1.
It was obvious to the founders that our faith was the ground upon which America stands. It was our very foundation as a people. And if this foundation were to crumble, so too would the very values that make us Americans. From our religious inheritance comes many of the virtues and institutions we most cherish as a people. Our system of justice, our generosity to neighbors, our respect for conscience, and the moral discipline necessary for liberty itself. As my dear friend, the late great Charlie Kirk put it, all law reflects a morality. Neither law nor morality appears in a vacuum, but ultimately come from religion. And the morality and religion that formed the American consciousness were decidedly Christian, founded upon the principles and the divinity of Jesus Christ.
Pretty well said there, Eric.
Yes. Listen, yesterday was an historic moment in the history of this nation. This was an epical moment. First of all, we have a president who declared on May 17th, we are going to rededicate the nation to God. Nobody twisted his arm. He didn't have to do that, but he did it. And yesterday, which was May 17th, we officially, in many ways, rededicated the nation to God. This is a huge thing. And as you know, Andrew, because I showed you my new book, I mean, because I have written a book on the revolution, which is coming out in a couple of weeks, I have done the research to see that there is no way that America comes into being apart from the revolutionaries, these great men looking directly to God. But we've been living in a time where secularists have pushed that away. We need to go back to the founding. We need to go back to how did we get to be a nation where we govern ourselves? It comes from looking directly to God. They didn't get this in the French Revolution, which is why it went sideways in 10 minutes and turns into a bloodbath. Our revolutionaries from John Adams on down, they understood we're going back to the Sinai covenant, like the Israelites in the wilderness. We're going to govern ourselves because we look directly to God. And so yesterday was a great day on the National Mall. So many wonderful people were there. The president read from 2 Chronicles, the famous passage. I mean, just an amazing moment in American history. And I believe as a result of what happened yesterday, we're going to feel it because that's a real thing. Really did this. House Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, says we hereby, it's like the government doesn't need to do this. But here we have the Speaker of the House saying this officially as a member of the United States government. We hereby rededicate the nation to the God of the Bible. It was a huge moment. And I was privileged to be one of the speakers. And I can't say how happy I am that we did this. I expect to see things are going to happen because we have officially turn to God in the way we did yesterday.
Well, and that's so scriptural too, Eric, where we wait on the Lord, with expectation of him doing something in our midst, of him acting and moving in our country, in our politics, in our families, right? And I totally agree with you that when we rededicate ourselves to the Lord, when we repent, when we cry out to him, that he will heal our land, that he will bring righteousness in ways that we haven't seen maybe for a while. And I pray that that is so true. And when it's coming from the headship of the country, namely the political leaders that have been elected by we the people, I do believe that there is a powerful exchange that happens in the spiritual realms. We are not in a war against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities. Things move when we pray and we rededicate ourselves to the Lord.
Well, the important thing I think to say is that this is historical, or I should say, we're being faithful to American history. This is not like a bunch of Christians got some crazy idea. By doing this, and I write about this in my new book, Revolution, I didn't know this really until I did the research. It's not deniable that the men who rebelled against England and said, we're going to take up arms to defend our rights are given from God, they had a keen sense that this is what the Bible says, and we're doing this because this is what God says to do. So it was not a secular revolution like the French Revolution. They themselves understood this, and I write about it because I think most Americans are a little bit, we've forgotten how radically, explicitly Christian the revolution was. And now I have to be clear, this doesn't mean that we impose our faith, and neither did George Washington or John Adams want to impose their faith. They believe in freedom of religion. So if you want to be an atheist, if you want to be a Muslim, or you don't want to believe in anything, or you want to be an agnostic, they said the government's not going to force you. But where do we get this great idea of freedom of religion? We get it from the Bible. It comes out of the Reformation, is that religion cannot be forced. We are not radical Muslims that are going to convert people by the sword. We are not radical atheists that will throw you in prison. We believe in religious liberty because we believe freedom comes out of the Bible. All the founders quoted Deuteronomy more than any other book. So it is everywhere in our founding. And what we're doing is we're going back to the beginnings. We're saying, what makes America great again? We want to make America great again. What made America great in the first place? That is what made America great in the first place. Everybody needs to know that. We can't be great again unless we know what made us great in the beginning. And I think of the 250th, the supercentennial year, this is the time for us to relearn what many of us, myself included, had forgotten or weren't so clear on.
I mean, as you guys have been saying, it really is of existential importance for real. Charlie loved that line, John Adams, that our Constitution was for a moral and religious people, and it was wholly inadequate to the government of any other. That's cited a lot just to say, this was a society founded on Christian belief and principle, and it requires that to work. Mm-hmm. But we often glide past that second part, that it's required for it to work. And I think about a lot of the stresses our system is under right now, where you especially have the left contemplating much more aggressive reaches beyond what I think our Constitution is supposed to have, where they're talking, let's just 100% pack the Supreme Court. Let's create entire new states just to cling to power ourselves. Let's do mass amnesty for every illegal immigrant. And you can't help but think, okay, well, this is a political faction that has abandoned religion, loudly trumpets that it's abandoning religion. And as a result, they don't see merit to the endurance of this Constitution. They don't see as much of a problem with burning down things that have lasted for 250 years and been successful. It's all blow it up now to get power right now. And I just think of what John Adams said.
It's a total, but we have to be clear. It is a betrayal of America. You can have a country, but it won't be the America that we've had for 250 years. If you don't understand the basics, if you don't understand that our rights come from God. I was interviewed by National Public Radio a couple of days ago about this, and they were like, did you know that Pete Hegseth is going to speak and that he says that our rights come from God? And I was like, I don't think Pete Hegseth came up with that concept. I think it's in our founding documents. Like, that's the whole nation is based on that. So the fact that you have major journalists that are unaware of this is a staggering drift away from the basics. But that's kind of where we are right now. It's almost unbelievable. And that's why yesterday was so important. And, but the left, they've forgotten everything. They've forgotten how to laugh. They've forgotten how to rejoice. Like, it's
we'll get into that
in many ways.
We'll get into that in just a second. But one word here is that, that Charlie has that famous clip where he's talking about how all the 13 colonies had a statement of faith, and even Maryland, which was Catholic, how the God is mentioned 4 times in the Declaration. It ends in a prayer to the supreme ruler, right? The ruler of the nations, which is Jesus Christ. I mean, it was so saturating the founding generation that it affected the way that they spoke, their turns of phrases, the way that they constructed the document itself, the Declaration and the Constitution. But people kind of missed the end, where he says the reason we have a constitutional crisis today is because we have a Christian document and our people are less and less Christian, and those become incompatible. And that's the real takeaway. We need revival in this land if we are going to see a reconstitution of the America that we've always known and loved, what's made it such a shining city on a hill and a beacon of freedom for the world over. So we need people to reconnect with Jesus, to meet Jesus, and we need a rededication. And yesterday was historic for many reasons, but that specifically. We'll be right back.
Everybody hates Beth. She eats all the food she loves and stays slim. Kim starves herself.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access, plus commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, my name is Tracy Ellis from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Rashad from Boston, Massachusetts, and I love Real America's Voice. It is the best place for real news and content. Much love.
I'm Andy M., and I love Real America's Voice, where my voice counts and your voice counts. That is America's Voice.
Eric Metaxas in just a second, but we are at the YRefi studio, so I want to tell you guys about YRefi. If you are an accredited investor, you can earn up to 10.25% on your investment, on your money, and that interest rate is fixed. You can invest from 1 to 5 years. You can spread your investment over those terms, however you choose. Maximum flexibility. We had Lane on a couple weeks ago. You guys loved that. Got a huge reaction from you guys in the audience for Lane, and apparently a lot of you guys checked it out. So God bless you for that. I think you're going to be well served by that. When you invest in YRefi, your interest is calculated daily, and you are paid monthly. All right. Calculated daily. You get to see it all on your dashboard, and you're paid monthly, and then you have the freedom to take your monthly interest as income or reinvest it, whatever you choose. It's up to you. Just a word about YRefi, though. They are great patriots. They are capitalists solving a problem in the market. And that is a huge, huge deal. We need more of that. We need to support those people that do that. For more information, call 877-80-INVEST, 877-80-INVEST, or visit them online at investyrrefi.com. That's investyrrefi.com. For complete details, make sure you review the private placement memorandum. Scan that QR code right there on your screen to view the disclosures at your leisure. Why Refi? Investing in America's future. All right, Eric, we got to get into it. You said that the left can't take a joke anymore. They've lost their sense of humor. Couldn't agree more. They are absolute shrills. They are hall monitors. They are the fun police. I don't know what's gotten into them, but they are complete. They're like puritanical secularists. It's the craziest thing, and they've struck again. They've done it to you this weekend.
This is one of the best ever.
And they're writing hit pieces on you. The Daily Beast, MAGA pastor. Are you even a pastor, Eric? I don't know.
I'm not even a pastor.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Not that I'm aware of.
MAGA they're so bad at the Christian thing, they don't even know who the pastor is and who's not. MAGA pastor makes bonkers claim about Trump's ballroom. Okay, Eric, I'm going to play the way they cut. By the way, on the left, like lefty Twitter, Blue Sky, you are famous today. Like this thing has gone like
they've made my book break into the top 100 on Amazon.
There it is.
And it's not coming out for 2 weeks. My Revolution book.
Put that book up on the screen. There it is. Everybody get your copy. Pre-order it today. Revolution. I saw Eric. We had breakfast in D.C. a couple weeks back, and I read like the first 10 pages. This thing's beautiful, Eric. It's so well written. I want to say that you've gotten even better since Bonhoeffer. Yeah, that was the international mega huge bestseller, millions of copies, whatever. You're really good at this. I mean, as a historian, Eric, you are becoming so elite.
You're very kind. This story is much more fun, happy, obviously, than the Bonhoeffer story. And it's unfortunately extremely important that every American know this story, which is why I wrote the book. Yeah. But I mean, so yesterday.
Well, let me play the clips, Eric. I'm gonna play the clips. Right. Yeah, you're also a show host yourself, so you can't help it. But I'm gonna commandeer it. This is the way they edited what you said.
Right.
Stop 15.
It's hard to believe that it would take 2 centuries for the Lord to raise up a great man to bring that ballroom finally to stand where it needs to stand. It's extraordinary. We only had to wait 200 years.
So this is the way they edited your okay. And now I got the full because these people are liars. And if you did not know that they are liars yet, Eric, this would be case in point exhibit A.
No joke. No joke.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this, right? I'm invited to speak on the National Mall about something that to me is one of the most important things in the history of the world, which is God's hand in American history. And that's because I wrote the book on the Revolution. They wanted me in my speech to focus on 2 times when God did something miraculous. So I submit my speech, they put in the teleprompter, and I talk about the escape from across the East River, this incredible miracle in our history in 1776. And then a few months later, the crossing of Delaware, 2 miracles where we lean on God, we look to God, and God delivers us. And that's the whole story of America. And that was the point of my speech.
But Eric, you make a lot of jokes when you speak publicly. If you've ever heard Eric speak, he's kind of weaving really serious stuff in the midst of offhanded jokes. And this is what it was. Right. Here's the full, Eric. Here's the full. Stop 4.
Oh, you going to play it?
Mm-hmm. All right. 30 years after we won our independence, the British challenged us again in the War of 1812, burning parts of that city named after George Washington. You may be familiar with that city. They burned parts of the city, including the White House, which at that time, if you can believe it, did not yet have a ballroom. Yes. It's hard to believe that it would take 2 centuries for the Lord to raise up a great man to bring that ballroom finally to stand where it needs to stand. It's extraordinary. We only had to wait 200 years.
It's perfect. There was laughs. Everybody was in on the joke except for the freaking shrill Democrats in the media.
It's so funny. Andrew, this is what's so hilarious is that the crowd instantly got the joke and left. Any fool listening to my speech up to that point knows this is just a dumb joke meant to get a laugh, right? That, and 200 years later, God raised up a man to create that ballroom, as if that's God's plan for America is the ballroom. Like, I'm joking around, right? Okay, so all my friends said, oh, that was a great line about the ball. Everybody gets a joke. I then find out that David French, who has Trump derangement syndrome, officially, the doctors have confirmed it, and others are on X freaking out that I seem, according to them, seriously said, God has raised up Donald Trump to create the ballroom. Like, they believe this, and they don't understand that I'm joking, even though everybody knows it's a joke. Then I read the Daily Beast has written an article about it. There's another major article about it. I can't even think I saw it this morning. Huffington Post wrote an article about it, and the Jerusalem Post mentioned this. Goodness. Like, everyone is freaking out, not getting that it's a joke. And you just think, this is, on the one hand, the funniest thing ever because it's promoting my book. And the other thing is, like, it's kind of sad that here's a moment of joking about the ballroom. They cannot get the joke. They are so enraged by President Trump that they have to attack. It's almost unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's almost unbelievable.
Guess what? God has a sense of humor, and we're just going to assume that this means you're going to have a new New York Times bestseller on your hands here with the new book on the revolution. I mean, why not, Eric? Because that would be you getting the last laugh. Okay,
I will beg your audience to please pre-order the book.
Put it up,
please.
There it is,
please. And in fact, I'll say this: we never did this before. If you pre-order it through my website, ericmetaxas.com, we will send you a PDF. You could start reading the book immediately.
No way.
I've never done that before because the book doesn't come out officially till June 2nd. It's a big, beautiful book, like the big, beautiful ballroom, if I can say that. But you have to go to ericmetaxas.com, and
get
we will
the book, everybody. God bless you, Eric. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you, my friend. Alex Marlow joins us next.
Half protection is not enough.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, my name is Tracy Elf, Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Rashad from Boston, Massachusetts, and I love Real America's Voice. It is the best place for real news and content. Much love.
I'm Andy M., and I love Real America's Voice, where my voice counts and your voice counts. That is America's Voice.
This world changes with every headline, every trend, every opinion, but truth doesn't move. The Truth Bombers dropped a new anthem for everyone still standing firm. Faith over fear, conviction over compromise. Bible and a backbone. A bold new release through Real America's Music. Download it now. Scan the QR code or search Bible and a Backbone by the Truth Bombers on iTunes. Stand tall, hold strong. Bible and a Backbone out now.
I don't bend for every breeze. I don't drop down to my knees for opinions that don't stand. Don't.
Welcome back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. A couple of key pieces of evidence will be allowed in the upcoming trial of the 28-year-old who is accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. During a preliminary hearing this morning, the judge who will preside over the case said a gun and a notebook that prosecutors say linked the accused shooter to the killing can be used as evidence. The defense was hoping to exclude the items from the trial, arguing that they were seized illegally before a search warrant was obtained. While the ruling is a win for prosecutors, several other pieces of evidence will be suppressed because the judge says an initial search of the suspect's backpack was an improper warrantless search. A second search of the backpack at the police station was proper, though. The trial is set to start September 8th. A second federal trial is scheduled for October 13th. $1.7 billion of your tax money is up for grabs as part of a brand new fund created by the Trump administration to compensate the president's allies who believe they were mistreated by the Biden administration's Justice Department. The fund is being created as part of a deal to resolve the president's $10 billion lawsuit against the Internal Revenue Service for the leak of the president's tax returns. The Justice Department just announced the so-called anti-weaponization fund today. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche calls the move a, quote, lawful process for victims of lawfare and weaponization to be heard and seek redress. Democrats are already calling the move corrupt and unprecedented. It is back to the drawing board for Senate Republicans as they seek to fund President Trump's $1 billion ask for security additions at the White House. At issue is a Senate parliamentarian saying that part of the Immigration Enforcement Reconciliation Bill, in which the funds are earmarked, does not meet the Senate procedural rules. The parliamentarian argues a project as large and complex as the president's East Wing renovation and ballroom is too broad to be included in the GOP's ICE funding bill. Senate Republicans are already spinning the roadblock, saying, quote, none of this is abnormal, redraft, refine, and resubmit. Work on an acceptable funding bill could get underway as soon as today if it hasn't already. Senate Republicans drafted the immigration funding bill separate from a funding plan for the Department of Homeland Security in order to circumvent Democrat opposition and pass the legislation through budget reconciliation, which only requires a simple majority vote. The U.S. Justice Department is reportedly preparing an indictment against former Cuban president, Raul Castro. It could be handed up as soon as Wednesday. The move comes as the president has publicly threatened military action against the communist-run island. The expected indictment is said to be centered around Castro's alleged role in the 1996 shoot-down of 4 planes that are linked to Miami-based exile group Brothers to the Rescue. Raul Castro was serving as Cuba's defense minister at the time. He, of course, was later elevated to president. Criminal charges against the 94-year-old former Cuban dictator could set the stage for U.S. military action, similar to the operation that landed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in a New York jail. You may remember American special forces extracted Maduro from his home country and brought him to the United States to face justice. CIA Director John Ratcliffe reportedly met with Castro's grandson, Raul Guillermo Rodriguez Castro, last week in Cuba. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has also met with the younger Castro in what is described as a secret encounter. Caught on camera, a fiery fighter jet crash in Idaho. Come to your screen and check this out, folks. All of this happened during an air show at the Mountain Home Air Force Base in western Idaho. As you can see, two Navy EA-18G Growler planes collided during an aerial demonstration. The 4 crew members on board the planes ejected safely and are stable right now. No one on the ground was hurt. But as you can see in this video from the plume of smoke there, the planes fell to the ground and immediately exploded. The airbase says the crash site was immediately locked down and the air show was canceled. Apart from what you just saw there in this video, there's no word what factors may have contributed to the crash. That's a quick check of your headlines. As always, we appreciate having you along for the ride. Let's take a quick break and then get you back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul. For 50 years, I've watched Washington.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, my name is Tracy Elf Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. We're here at the Y-Refi Studios. Hour 2 is underway, and we have a very nice treat in store for you, and that is Alex Marlow, editor-in-chief of Breitbart, and I check it every day, multiple times, most of the time, multiple times, and he's also host of the Alex Marlow Show. Alex, welcome back.
Always great to be back with you guys. Thanks for having me yet again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're one of our regulars, Alex. You can't get away from us. It's just going to be, this is the way it is now. It's a true story, by the way. I have polled the audience informally about which of our regulars they like, and your name always comes up. So you're stuck with us, Alex.
Love it. Love it. All
right.
Thank
so
you,
listen,
audience.
let's talk politics.
Sure.
There's a lot going on. Namely, Senator Cassidy was just successfully primaried in Louisiana as a senator. That's a huge I don't think most people realize what a big deal it is for a sitting senator to be primary.
Yeah, and just pretty bad, really badly, because it wasn't even a full primary where he lost head-to-head with somebody. It was the first-level primary, and so he got third place among the Republicans. Doesn't even make it to the runoff, so he knows months out that his time in the Senate is done.
Yep. Julia Letlow pulled away with that one with 44.8% of the vote, and John Fleming will be her challenger with 28.3%. Bill Cassidy came in third, as Blake said, at 24.8%, so a distant third, and be up against Jamie Davis, it looks like, for the Democrats. So what do you make of this particular one? And then we're going to move on to Thomas Massey.
Yeah, first of all, both of those candidates seem good. I think Trump endorsed Let Low. The other candidate, we've done stuff with him a lot at Breitbart. So there's a huge improvement and really awesome stuff to see this. But it's so rare. And that's the shocking thing, is that we haven't seen this happen since 2012 with Richard Lugar getting primaried. And it's senators tend to just keep their spots in the primaries until they get unseated by the other party. And that is just not how the country should work. And so it's really good where the voters actually hold people in power, and just shows you money, external influences really do manipulate so many of our elections. But Cassidy was a bad guy. He was right out there front and center grandstanding against President Trump after all the J6 stuff. And it was such a loser move. And I'm glad that he got his comeuppance politically. And it's a great signal the base is sending to the establishment. If you're going to throw down against President Trump over nonsense mainstream media hokum like the Jan 6 stuff, then we're going to vote you out. And so it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, candidly, I mean, I haven't ever shared this, but I remember when Charlie was trying to get Secretary Kennedy through the confirmation hearings, and Cassidy was once again a thorn in the side. Didn't like some of Kennedy's stance on, vaccines or whatever. I mean, I think Senator Cassidy is a doctor, right? And so he was much more in the establishment camp and was very nervous about that. And Charlie kind of swallowed his pride and reached out to him and said, hey, get on board with this. If not, there's going to be huge problems for you. It turns out there was problems for him anyways. Obviously, it's not Charlie's fault or Turning Point's fault, but President Trump definitely took notice of that impeachment vote and wasn't going to let it go. I don't think anybody should be surprised by that. Next up is another race that President Trump has weighed in very heavily, and that is involving Thomas Massie in Kentucky. Now, it's become sort of a proxy fight on many things, on Epstein, on the Iran war, on Israel, foreign money. What are you making of this? It seems to be a dead heat right now, Alex. If not, Massie might be a little bit behind, depending on the poll you see.
Yeah, it's a dead heat. And it's one of these things where if you poll the Breitbart newsroom, there's going to be a lot of people who are comfortable with Massie, and there's going to be some people who are not. I'm in the camp that would like to see him lose. I think that he's built up his brand as an online grandstander. I don't see him making a lot of productive votes. He seems to be the guy, and J.D. Vance was very articulate about this. Whenever Trump needed him to make sure something passed, then Massie is dependably not there and also out. On X, the Everything app, where he uses the platform to try to fundraise and get clout by suggesting that Trump's government is covering up for pedophiles, which I don't believe that to be the case. I believe we should all get all full information on Epstein, but I don't think that Donald Trump's government is going out of their way to try to protect pedophiles. That's Massie's entire online brand, and he always is the vote that the Republicans need and can't get, and he loves it. He delights in that. That to me is just so counterproductive, and I think the state of Kentucky can do better.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my take on Massie is we like Massie. I like some of his principled stands. Charlie liked some of Massie's principled stands, namely anti-war. He loved that. He was a good Maha fighter. He liked that. Principled budget hawk, like that. But, Blake and I were talking about before the show today. And go ahead.
Yeah,
it was your thought.
Charlie liked a lot of things about Massie. He said he was a favorite congressman of his for a long time. But Charlie is also a guy who supports President Trump. He supports getting as much as you can done with this administration because he recognizes we're in a national crisis, time is short. And I don't think he would have a lot of patience for Massie, for example, when the Iran action happened. Even if Charlie himself would have been very skeptical of that, Massie basically, he went on and he said, literally,
we have this tweet, I think.
PSA, bombing a country on the other side of the globe won't make the Epstein files go away, suggesting the war is this wag the dog effort to distract from the Epstein files. Or another thing he said is, I vote with the GOP 91% of the time because 9% of the time they're starting wars, bankrupting our country, or covering up for pedophiles. He's totally leaned into this brand that the administration is this pedophile cabal, which is the stuff you can find on Blue Sky. It's the stuff you can find in the worst conspiracy swamps. And frankly, I'll go further. I'll say I think that a lot of the file releases have vindicated President Trump's warnings, which is there's a lot of salacious gossip. It's made a lot of people look bad. It's been embarrassing for a lot of people, but it has not exposed some massive pedophile cabal. That's why people haven't been charged. If someone can show me this specific person should be charged with crimes against children,
I'd love to see some people charged from it, but that's another topic. I agree with your main point, though.
Yeah,
that,
sure.
That essentially, listen, there was some calls on X over the weekend to get, will you endorse Thomas Massey? Listen, if Thomas Massey wins, I'm going to be good with it. Like,
that's life.
I'm totally good with it. I think we can work with Thomas. He's got some great positions, and he's got some, to your point, he has made his whole brand about pedophile protection with Ro Khanna. By the way, Ro Khanna has stood shoulder to shoulder trying to make much of this political football with the Epstein thing, with women that have been accused of actually soliciting some of the minors that were abused. So I'm just saying, I have an open mind here, but at the end of the day, I say I will do what J.D. Vance does. SOT 17.
Being independent, having your own opinions is one thing. Voting against the party on every single issue, you're eventually going to make too many enemies. And that is the problem that Thomas has had. It's not one issue. It's not 3 or 4 issues. It's that every time that we've needed Thomas for a vote, he has been completely unwilling to provide it. That is why the President of the United States has trained his ire on Thomas Massey. It's because we can never count on him for some of the most difficult votes. And when you always vote against the party, you can't expect the party to actually back you.
So, listen, that seems to be pretty logical. Listen, again, I don't hate Thomas Massey. I actually like so much of him, just like Charlie did. But at the end of the day, we got a slim majority, and we got to get stuff done. So hang right there, Alex Marlow. We're not done with you. One more segment with the great Alex Marlow, and we will get to that in just a second. What do I got, guys? Hillsdale. Oh, I love Hillsdale. Hillsdale is America's greatest university. And they have this, we talked about with Eric Metaxas as well. We've got this Revolutionary America film that is coming out May 31st through June 2nd. You can get your tickets now by going to hillsdale.com, let me do that again. Hillsdale.edu/revolution. Hillsdale.edu/revolution. Listen, we live in a time and a place where the left, they want you to think America's awful, that we are systemically oppressive and racist and vicious and vile, and we're on stolen land and all that stuff. Go back to the source, listen to people that have actually studied it, that actually understand the founding story, and put together this amazing film. You're going to want to see it in theaters. I'm telling you, it's stunning. It's beautifully made, and it's historically accurate, which is amazing in this day and age. Hillsdale.edu/revolution. In theaters May 31st through June 2nd. Get your tickets now.
Are diapers destroying your confidence? Men's Liberty is the answer for incontinence.
Real America's Voice is growing, and now it's all in one place. Introducing the new and improved RAV app, built for access, community, and choice, not paywalls. Here's the key. RAV is still free to watch. No sign-in, no membership required. Your favorite live streams, breaking coverage, and video on demand are all right there. Free, just like always.
For the War Room Posse, we have to be a force multiplier on this. We have to stick the landing.
In the White House, in the Oval Office, you're crushing it, my friend.
And if you want more, the members section is your backstage pass. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and videos, insider moments from the studio and the field, and early access to new content before it goes public. Members can also unlock special experiences like virtual meet and greets, member-only auctions, and select event access. Plus, commercial-free viewing of certain shows inside the app. It's not just an app, it's a community. Download the RAV app today. Find it in the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, my name is Tracy Elf, Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
This is Rashad from Boston, Massachusetts, and I love Real America's Voice. It is the best place for real news and content. Much love.
I'm Andy M., and I love Real America's Voice, where my voice counts and your voice counts. That is America's Voice.
Hi, this is Chris from Wisconsin, and I love Real America's Voice because they have great news and a great chat family. God bless all of you.
Welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. We have Alex Marlow, editor-in-chief of Breitbart. Check it out every day, Breitbart News, and host of the Alex Marlow Show. Alex, you had another thought that you wanted to convey on the Massey race. You're muted out.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry. Yeah. So the positive thing about Massey is he is a real American individual, and I do like that, and I want to encourage people to be individuals. But his job as a congressman is to vote, and when you're consistently voting that make the job easier for the Democrats and for the bad guys politically, then that becomes a major problem for me. And think about the One Big Beautiful Bill Act where he opposed that, and that was essentially what people voted for in the 2024 election. Trump wanted this. He talked about it the whole time. He wanted one big beautiful bill that's going to get his agenda going, and Massey stood in the way of that. That's just a sign that he's in it for himself. And, you know, I don't love the glow up that his wife died, then did the big glow up, and then got the younger wife immediately. That's also off-putting to me. But all that matters to me is how does he vote? And he's a Republican who votes problematically a lot. And that's what it comes down to. So I'm rooting against him. But again, an interesting individual.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when it comes to his personal life, I mean, listen, from all I can tell, he was a devoted husband for many years. And his wife died unexpectedly. My heart goes out to him about all of that. And I don't subscribe to any of the salacious stuff that people are slinging. I get the optics of it, Alex. I just, to your point, what matters to me is, you know, is he going to be a part of a team or is he not? And listen, I understand. Like I said, I love his principled stance on war. I think, you know, Alex Clark has been out publicly defending his MAGA bona fides. Love that. Love the budget hawk stuff. But at some point, you know, J.D. Vance made a point. Is, you know, this is politics. When you fight the party and what the agenda of so many of your colleagues are trying to get accomplished constantly, eventually you're going to have a lot of enemies. So again, if he gets elected, I'll be happy. If he doesn't get elected, we're going to deal with that reality as well.
Bill Cassidy just lost his primary because he was a senator who voted to convict Trump after January 6th. That was the reason he lost this primary above all. Yeah. And so if you are, the number one thing that annoys Republicans for the most part is deciding to be a giant thorn in the side of the president from their party, especially when they would prefer to be in conflict at war with the left. And I think there are plenty of lawmakers who have navigated the dynamic of disagreeing with President Trump on specific issues, sometimes strongly. There are multiple lawmakers who do that on multiple issues, including even on Iran itself. But Massey has carved out a special brand for himself in that regard, and that unsurprisingly has created a lot of conflict.
And listen, part of this is the Trump dynamic. There's no doubt. I'm sure Trump played a part in this relationship devolving down. I've seen, you know, certain allegations from Marjorie Taylor Greene about how this has happened. And listen, I want us all to be in peace and to be rowing in the same direction. I want unity. Hopefully, if Massey ends up pulling this off, we can do this. Just one more note, by the way, like there's a lot of groups spending a lot of money in this race, which one, I think is a distraction. I think it's taking resources away from other races to beat Democrats that are more important. So that's my first perspective. Turning Point Action is not involved in this race. We're not spending money. We're not doing it. And so we're going to let the chips fall where they may. But I will say, you know, if there's a tweet here from Stephen Miller that I thought was interesting, because Ro Khanna says, you know, Thomas Massey is a man of character. He's the type of congressman our founders envision. I hope his constituents will see the courage, independence, and sincere love of country he brings to the job. Okay. And he's quoting a New York Times opinion column. Stephen Miller comes back and says, Khanna is among the most radically liberal anti-MAGA extremists to be found in all of Congress. This is the equivalent of being endorsed by Rachel Maddow. I do think that that's interesting. There's a whole discussion here, Alex, about where the money's coming from. There are PACs. Yeah. There is the AIPAC. There's Israel-aligned PACs. It's not foreign money, by the way. That's a misconception online commonly. Sure. These are Americans that do care about Israel. Whatever you think about that, however, there is another side of the coin here where apparently it's only between like 3 and 5% of the funding on Massey's side, who's actually outraised his competitor, Gauren. But yeah, there's only 3 to 5% that's coming from Kentucky. So he's getting a lot of support from outside as well. And so, you know, if you're going to make that critique on one side, you can make it for both in this race. There's a lot of a national attention. We understand how it's gone. All right. I think we've made our point clearly here. All right. Last point, Alex Marlow. The Iran war drags on, okay? This is becoming a whole thing. Democrats have basically staked their entire political fortunes on calling Republicans racist after the Supreme Court ruling gutted Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. We're getting rid of these racially gerrymandered districts, especially in the South. Those two dynamics, Iran and racism from the left. How are you looking at all this? How is it going to play out?
Yeah, I want to look at this in a neutral way, because even though people in our audience, they're going to be so just numb to just being called racist and fascist and all that stuff. But the Democrats really do think this is going to be motivational in terms of voting, because they're trying to frame it up as the Republican racist redistricting is what they're fighting against, and it's giving them a narrative. It's probably their clearest narrative in a while. I was playing a bunch of clips on my podcast earlier today, just going through how the talking points clearly went out. It's the entire party. They're all framing it as though all the redistricting is based in racism, and they think they can win on it. I haven't seen fresh data, but they really do think this is the case. So mark that down. This is happening, and they do think this is a winning issue to frame it this way. I hope the American people burned out on it. They don't stand for anything principally, but I think that's a very important point. The next thing, Iran, as you mentioned, the Democrats know that the longer the Iran war goes on, the harder it's going to be for Republicans to win in a midterm. So they want to see it go on. They want to see it prolong so that they can continue to dunk on Trump for this stuff. They're not looking for him to wrap it up and declare victory. Iran also, ironically, would like for things to go on longer, because they know that Trump's going to get a bunch of political pressure, both from his party and from the Democrat Party at home. The media obviously trying to make it so that write a narrative that we've lost the war no matter what happens. And so these are the two big things that I think are headwinds for President Trump heading into the midterm season kicking off in full flight.
I will tell you what, I mean, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm biased, but every time they sling the racism slur at us, I just feel like it falls flat. I feel like we're going to have Eli Steele on next segment to talk about this. He had a great essay out over the weekend explaining what drives so much of our racial dysfunction in here. But we'll give you a taste of what Alex is talking about. Saw 8.
I have to just tell the truth. There are people in this hostile anti-black administration that would rather black Americans pick cotton than pick the president, than pick their congressperson, than pick a senator.
Well, that's just civically idiotic, actually, because a sitting senator is chosen by the whole state, and they don't have the votes in the South to get their senators in most races. Anyways, the point is, Alex, you're totally right. I've got 14 clips of this that I could choose from as well. And that's what they're staking their whole thing. I will tell you this. I would prefer this over the anti-ICE narrative after Minneapolis, where you had Rachel Good and Alex Preddy that were killed. I think this is far less potent.
I think we got to be able to beat this. We got to be able to beat this one. It's not a strong one. And have you guys ever talked to anyone who wants black people picking cotton? It's so absurd. She's going too far back. She's reaching too far back.
Yeah. Alex Marlow, thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Eli Steele joins us next.
I always hear about how we should take care of our disabled veterans.
This Memorial Day weekend, it's more than an event. It's a celebration of the United States of America and the people who love her. Join Real America's Voice and Real America's Music for Celebrate Freedom, a one-of-a-kind live broadcast and concert experience at the iconic Marty B's in Dallas, Texas. From 4 to 9 p.m., patriots from across the country will come together for an unforgettable night, honoring faith, freedom, and the spirit that makes this nation strong. The entire event is live, kicking off with a powerful hour of worship, followed by a national broadcast hosted by Bo Davidson, featuring voices you trust like Ben Burke, and building into a full concert experience with performances from Wynn Williams and Ram artist Deepak, Natasha Owens, Celeste Kellogg, and more. This is an American Love Fest, and you are part of the show. Tickets are free, but you must register, and they will go fast. Scan the QR code now to lock in your spot before they're gone. Celebrate Freedom, presented by Patriot Mobile and Preborn. Let's celebrate America together. At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
I'm Andy M., and I love Real America's Voice, where my voice counts and your voice counts. That is America's Voice.
Hi, this is Kelly Renee from Northern California Hills, MAGA country. The reason I watch Real America's Voice is for the faith, the family, and the freedom. Giddy up!
I'm Terry from New Jersey, and I just want to say that I love Real America's Voice. I love you guys. Keep up the good work.
This Memorial Day weekend, it's more than an event. It's a celebration of the United States of America and the people who love her. Join Real America's Voice and Real America's Music for Celebrate Freedom, a one-of-a-kind live broadcast and concert experience at the iconic Marty B's in Dallas, Texas. From 4 to 9 p.m., patriots from across the country will come together for an unforgettable night, honoring faith, freedom, and the spirit that makes this nation strong. The entire event is live, kicking off with a powerful hour of worship, followed by a national broadcast hosted by Bo Davidson, featuring voices you trust like Ben Burke, and building into a full concert experience. With performances from artists Wynn Williams, Inside Out, and Ram artists Deepak, Natasha Owens, Celeste Kellogg. Tickets are free, but you must register, and they will go fast. Scan the QR code now to lock in your spot before they're gone. Celebrate Freedom, presented by Patriot Mobile and Preborn. Let's celebrate America together.
Back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. The U.S. Justice Department reportedly preparing an indictment against former Cuban President Raul Castro. It could be handed up as soon as Wednesday. The move comes as President Trump has publicly threatened military action against the communist-run island. The expected indictment is said to be centered around Castro's alleged role in the 1996 shoot-down of 4 airplanes linked to Miami-based exile group Brothers to the Rescue. Raul Castro was serving as Cuba's defense minister at the time, before later being elevated to president. Criminal charges against the 94-year-old former Cuban dictator could set the stage for U.S. military action similar to the operation that landed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in a New York jail. And it is back to the drawing board for Senate Republicans as they seek to fund President Trump's $1 billion ask for security additions at the White House. At issue is a Senate parliamentarian saying that part of the immigration enforcement reconciliation bill in which the funds are earmarked does not meet the Senate procedural rules. The parliamentarian argues a project as large and complex as this is too broad to be included in the GOP's announcement.
Voice of generations. It's the Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's the Charlie Kirk Show. We got Eli Steele. He's just about to join us for a discussion about race. I think it's so important. So much going on right now. Alex Marlow laid it out perfectly. But first, I want to tell you about Noble Gold. We just had Colin Plume in studio on Friday for a great discussion on finances, what you should do if you're selling your home, and you got some liquid assets for a while that you want to invest. What should you do when you get married? So many great questions asked by you in the audience. It was a phenomenal discussion. And by the way, I hope you saw just what a great guy Colin is. He knows this stuff inside and out. And they run noblegoldinvestments.com/Kirk, noblegoldinvestments.com/Kirk. They've been with us since the very beginning. I've got a great friendship with Colin over the years. And they were with us, like I said, from the very start. A lot of people want to come when things are riding high and they want to get in. No. Colin and Noble Gold are the type of people that get with you from the ground up, and they stick with you. And we love that about them. They're amazing, amazing people. noblegoldinvestments.com. Right now, with everything unfolding in the world, the geopolitical instability, economic uncertainty, gas prices, all that stuff, you got to ask yourself, is your wealth protected? Are you doing the right things with your wealth? Do you have some of it set aside in precious metals, perhaps, to make sure you're protected with inflation and the de-dollarization movement that's going on around the country, around the world? That's why we partner with them. We're proud to have them back in our corner. Call them today. 877-646-5347. By the way, if you call them, I got to get this number for you guys. They just told me this on Friday. If you call them and say that the Charlie Kirk Show sent you, they will hook you up and give you something special. He said, leave it at that. They're going to take care of you. 877-646-5347. 877-646-5347. Tell them the Charlie Kirk Show sent you, and they've got something special in store for you. 877-646-5347. Or visit them online, noblegoldinvestments.com/Kirk. All right, without further ado, I want to bring in our next guest, and that is, of course, Eli Steele. He is he's a filmmaker, an American, proudly, whiteguiltfilm.com, and you can find him on Substack at manofsteel.substack.com. Welcome to the show, Eli Steele.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor to have you. You know, Charlie had your father on the show a couple of times. It was always a great pleasure. And you've really taken up his mission, and you're doing a great job. I was really profoundly moved by a piece you wrote. You published on X. I'm assuming it's on your Substacks as well. But you said you're basically taking issue, I think kindly, gently, with Gad Saad's position, suicidal empathy, who's another guy that we love on this show. And I think Gad's contribution to this discussion is important, but he said you said this in your piece. You said whites stood accused by history. They had failed the founding idea of all men are created equal and were stigmatized as a group. Whether or not they had personally owned slaves or enforced Jim Crow, the question that haunted many of them was not how do I feel for you, but how do I prove I'm not one of the racists? This condition of societal guilt, not the emotion of empathy, became an organizing principle of American public life. You underscore that you believe that so much of our racial dysfunction in this country is caused by fear, not empathy. Explain, sir.
Thank you for having me. And this is my first time on the show, so you already may not know that I am deaf, so I have a deaf accent. But to your question, yeah, I mean, you're pointing out to something that is very fundamental, which is we're talking about collective guilt here. America had practiced, racism, whether it's slavery or segregation, for almost 4 centuries. And it's another thing that's very important to remember that America was a very Christian country. And the civil rights movement was a Christian movement. and which form of Christianity was right, because Christianity had been kind of the furthest to explain slavery, to explain degradation. And that was a huge problem. So white America, which always tried to stop from having that innocence, of having that, special thing. And the civil rights movement said, no, you are not innocent. You enslaved us. And that created a huge fallout or collision in the 1960s where white America realized, we're not on the top morally as we thought that we were. And that spread to all of white America, whether you were a slave owner or you actually participated in segregation, or even you didn't. Your white skin was enough of a condemnation. And I think that sort of was misty on this whole suicidal empathy question, because it sort of focuses on the individual. Empathy begins as the individual emotion, and you're kind of trying to scale that out. I'm arguing the opposite, that there was a collective judgment from the outside on white America, and that went into the mind of many people, and they said, okay, how do I achieve innocence? How do I achieve moral authority? And my father obviously calls this false innocence, because only true innocence can be done through true means of repenting. In other words, if we had done it the right way, we would have focused on developing the people that we had oppressed. Instead, we focused on white redemption instead, what we call the left, what we call the post-60s liberalism. So it became all about white redemption rather than actually doing the much more difficult work of coming together as a country and repairing the damage.
No, exactly, Eli. It really feels like a regression to, you might even say, pre-biblical morality, that Charlie loved to cite that in the Old Testament, one of its innovations is to say, you do not punish children for the sins of their fathers, that individuals' choices matter, individual decisions matter, whereas many other moral codes don't take that. They do consider it normal to do collective punishment. In China, a very common punishment was if someone committed treason, you killed their wife, their children, their parents, sometimes even their friends and associates. And that was totally normal. And this is doing the same thing. That it's reviving this pre-biblical morality of you are responsible for the decisions of your ancestors. In fact, your entire race, you're responsible for those. It is blood guilt, and they've brought that back, and it's created this psychosis in a lot of people. But
I do agree, though. It's fear. You fear of being stigmatized with the racist word, fear of being called a bigot. We have turned that into American society is the number one insult, the number one assault on somebody's character conceivable, right? It doesn't matter if you're a pedophile, if you killed somebody, we'll let you out of bond with cashless bond if you did those things. But if you're a racist, then that is the number one chief sin that you can commit as an American. And how they did that is really, really fascinating. Now, so what we've done, Eli, is we've completely cut out the knees from logical conversations, common sense conversations about crime, about education, about fatherlessness. And instead, it's a blanket pejorative they can sling at you to make sure you're not allowed in polite society. You're not allowed to run for office. You're not allowed to lead a company. You're not allowed to be a part of a church. If you are the R word, they will take you out of everything. And that has created a paralyzing fear in the American body politic. And I think we're finally, the further we get away from the 1960s, we're finally seeing a true reawakening where we can have actual discussions about race, politics, culture, and these sorts of things. That's why I think your piece is so powerful, Eli.
Yeah, and I think this piece is very helpful in many ways, because what he is doing is he is describing, I think, what is the symptom. Yeah, you could call it suicidal empathy. I mean, I agree with it, but I don't think it's invaluable, because I think it helped a lot of people focus on what's going on in the country. And maybe we could get deeper beyond that, because I think when you were talking about blood guilt, paying for the sins of the fathers, that is about the most anti-American principle.
Yes.
are a nation of individuals. We broke away from aristocratic Europe, where the first son had all the power. And we said, no, everybody had to share.
Right.
Everybody's individual. We created, the whole founding principles are all around the protection of the individual. And what we could call them, bad actors or something like that, they saw an opportunity in the 1960s. They said, white America is guilty. That's our power. That's why my father says the white guilt is literally the same thing as black power.
Yeah.
Not only that, across Europe, we have colonialism. And now you have colonial guilt. So now you see how whites all across America, this is why when George Floyd happened, you had the UK, you had Sweden, Finland, Germany, all bowing down to Black Lives Matter. Because they responded to this Western guilt, which we should kind of call white guilt in general. But all of it, I think the whole purpose of it is to undermine the individual and force us into a tribal society, back into, I guess, what you call it pre-biblical times, where we are tribal. This is very anti-Western. And this is why my father and I, we believe it is the most destructive force that's going on in the Western world. Because if we do become tribal, then we will have to reinvent America somewhere else.
And there's nowhere else to go at this point. And I think it's very telling when you look at that SPLC story too, Eli, how they knew that if you could weaponize white supremacy, if you could create a boogeyman that rested upon this foundation, this narrative that had been created in the post-1960s world, then you could monetize it, you could weaponize it, you could send it to the DOJ, and you could criminalize it. You can do all of this with the cudgel of racism, of guilt, of fear that has paralyzed our culture. And if we are paralyzed by this fear, we will lose Western civilization. We will lose confidence in ourselves, the confidence we need to build this civilization that we know and love, the greatest that the world has ever known. Eli Steele, you can check him out at Substack, manofsteel.com, and check out this new essay. I think it's super important, Eli, to the discussion. Thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
God bless you. Really important conversation there. Strongcell.com. I got mine. I told you I'm doing 2 today because I missed it this weekend. NADH is the power source. It's a breakthrough enzyme in the supplement world. It was one of Charlie's favorite supplements. It will power the cells in your body. So if you have chronic fatigue, chronic illness, word recall issues, whatever it may be, there's gentlemen that had swelling ankles. There's all kinds of stuff that this will address because your cells are probably underpowered. And once you give them the power they need, you're going to notice a world of difference. I notice it specifically in the morning. Check it out. It's also great for recovery, by the way. Strongcell.com. Use the code Charlie for 20% off, and you get that 90-day risk-free money-back guarantee. Give it 4 to 6 weeks to work, and you will notice the difference. At least that's my opinion. That's been my experience. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
They're counting on you to stay silent. They think you won't.
This Memorial Day weekend, it's more than an event. It's a celebration of the United States of America and the people who love her. Join Real America's Voice and Real America's Music for Celebrate Freedom, a one-of-a-kind live broadcast and concert experience at the iconic Marty B's in Dallas, Texas. From 4 to 9 p.m., patriots from across the country will come together for an unforgettable night, honoring faith, freedom, and the spirit that makes this nation strong. The entire event is live, kicking off with a powerful hour of worship, followed by a national broadcast hosted by Bo Davidson, featuring voices you trust like Ben Burke, and building into a full concert experience with performances from Willie Williams and Ram artist Deepak, Natasha Owens, Celeste Kellogg, and more. This is an American love fest, and you are part of the show. Tickets are free, but you must register, and they will go fast. Scan the QR code now to lock in your spot before they're gone. Celebrate Freedom, presented by Patriot Mobile and Preborn. Let's celebrate America together.
At Real America's Voice, we know that you want to be a part of something bigger. That's why we've teamed up with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. to build a real community of folks who care about faith and our country's future.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
Want to be a part of this movement? It's easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen right now. That's right. Grab your phone and scan the QR code to join the AMAC and Real America's Voice family today. By scanning the QR code, you'll unlock exclusive content, connect with like-minded Americans, and be first in line for events that celebrate our shared values. So don't wait. Scan the QR code. Join us today and become part of a community that stands for faith, family, and freedom.
Real rights, they come from God.
With AMAC and Real America's Voice. Go ahead. Scan the QR code now.
All right, welcome back. We are at the Y-Refi Studios here in Phoenix, Arizona. Final segment of the day. The show has flown by. Y-Refi Studios. I want to tell you about them. If you're an accredited investor, you can earn up to 10.25%. I'm still blown away by this, by the way. 10.25. It literally, I remember going in business school at, University of Washington, and they were talking about making projections based on 6%. So if you get 10%, you're cooking with some serious gas here. 10.25%, that interest rate is fixed. You can invest from 1 to 5 years. You could spread your investment over those terms to best suit your needs. If you're an older listener, viewer, being able to lock in 10.25% is pretty incredible. When you invest in Y-Refi, your interest is calculated daily and you are paid monthly. You have the freedom to take that income that interest is income or reinvest it at whatever you choose. So maximum flexibility, maximum transparency, and these are great people, great patriots. They love this country. They support all the right causes. Also, they make it very easy if you want to choose to do this, that you can take that interest income and you can put it into a cause that you care about. You can, your church, Turning Point USA, all kinds of things. They make that easy to do right on their dashboard. So they make it simple. Great people doing business the right way. We really, really have these guys back, and we're all in with them. For more information, call 877-80-INVEST. That's 877-80-INVEST, or visit them online at investyrefi.com, investyrefi.com. For complete details, make sure you review the private placement memorandum and scan this QR code right there on your screen to view the disclosures at your leisure. Y-Refi, investing in America's future. Okay, we got a ton of emails from you guys about Thomas Massie.
A bunch of emails about Massie, and from various perspectives. Various perspectives, I will say, and we should acknowledge that.
Yeah. Would you say it's about 50-50? I haven't reviewed it.
I actually probably would say, which is notable for someone who is in conflict with the president. One from Ali says, Massie would rather grandstand about balancing the budget than stop Iran from building ballistic missiles. He voted against Trump's big, beautiful bill that delivered tax cuts for Americans. He's done nothing to help J.D. Vance go after the massive fraud and waste that is actually draining our budget. Priorities matter. But then Jamie says, I love Massie. We need more Rand Pauls and more Thomas Massies. I want him to vote yes where he can, but he has always been against spending. This isn't new. I understand the loyalty issue, though. Democrats also vote together, but I think we have so many rhinos that it has become impossible for Republicans. I wish we would focus on removing rhinos, though, before the Massie types. Someone says, Tell Rhino Andrew that Massie does not have any points. So I think he's saying you said he had a point on some things. He's saying no,
Massie,
they don't.
No, okay, listen, I'll stand by it. Massie's good on war. He's good on MAGA. He's good on spending.
All right. And then we have another one. This was actually from a few days ago, but I thought it meshed well with this. Massie was on my friends list, but I have been telling people for a couple years that libertarians are planning to sabotage MAGA by helping Democrats because they hate tariffs and they are pro-China. Big tech wants to fund the libertarians to destroy our movement. At some point, it no longer matters whether people are good on some things. His opponent should be endorsed. So that's a good representation. I mean, we actually got one from someone who says that they're so pro-Massie that if he loses, they're going to vote Democrat from now on. So that's a very strong opinion.
Is a giant psyop.
We disagree on that.
Zero reason to vote Democrat. Listen, Democrats are an anti-civilizational force.
Yes.
Let me prove this to you. There are. Let's just bring up the real numbers, okay? So these are the same people that let Irina Zarutska's killer out after multiple violent crimes in this man's past. All right, we've got another story of I mean, it's like every day there's a new story. That's what Democrats do. Democrats are the one that flooded the borders and want to replace American voters, with more compliant third worlders. Democrats are the ones that want to blow the entire federal budget to give freebies to foreigners, to give Green New Deal scams, all this stuff. They are agents of chaos, quite literally. They don't believe in merit. They believe in DEI. They don't believe in equality. They believe in equity. Every single point that they choose is going in the wrong direction. Literally, every single point. I've got nothing for them. They want to kill babies at 9 months old. What could you possibly want to defend them on? Now, if you're an accelerationist, right, let me deal with you guys too. If you're an accelerationist who wants to burn it all down so that you can rebuild a party in your image, it doesn't work. All they will do is get stronger, entrench their power more deeply, and cause more chaos, destruction, and carnage in their wake. Do you think that we are going to, anytime soon, get out from under the 10 to 15 million illegals that they let flood this country in just 4 years of Joe Biden? In 4 years, they darn near killed the country. 4 years. Yeah. So if that's your plan, I couldn't disagree with you more strongly.
Yeah, so it's like, for example, we read the Ro Khanna tweet endorsing Massey. And yeah, Ro, he is a somewhat different Democrat in that he sometimes finds issues to collaborate with. But you can check this. You can just check this where Ro Khanna, he supports amnesty for illegal immigrants with a path to citizenship. Ro Khanna, all in on the trans cult. Totally loves all of that stuff. Ro Khanna, just
all in on COVID vaccine, no bodily autonomy in that. You know, all in on the George Floyd riots as racial reckoning.
He actually wants a. I checked that. He wants to investigate possible reparations for
Do you want to know
Black
how
Americans.
like insane?
But it's just this thing happens over and over. And if you're going to say, I'm going to vote Democrat as a protest thing, you are voting for the great solvent of our civilization. You are voting to create California for the entire country. And if you want to see how things are going, you can look at California right now. California can't build anything. California is just in perpetual thrall to the worst excesses of labor. They basically are just controlled by a cartel that defrauds their state government with the willing connivance of the state government itself. That is the future of the country if you lean into this. And we're frustrated if Massey is enabling that to come about, even if he is on our side for a bunch of different issues. Yeah. But if you're going to look at this and say, I'm mad over a House race, I am now going to switch to the other party, you need to get your head checked.
Well, and listen, I understand the president can be difficult to deal with. Lauren Boebert is running into some of this, and Warren Davidson, they're all campaigning with Massey. Listen, if Massey wins, we're going to be just fine. We're going to deal with it, and it's great. I don't dislike Massey in a broad sense. That's all I'm saying. But if you're going to vote Democrat because you don't like the way this race goes, that's insanity. This is how insane it gets. Throw up these numbers. This is from the FBI. Did you know that because we've become so insane about our racial discourse in this country because of Democrats, because of left-wing progressives, that their murder rate is now at 1 out of every 22 black men will murder someone in their lives? That's that red column in the middle. That is the fruits of the left. The vast majority of those murders are being enabled or inspired by a very small percentage of people that we can't ever get off the streets because they believe in no cash bail and all this garbage, and these judges have been co-opted by the radical left. There is not one single issue where I could get on board with Democrats. Not one. So I completely disagree with the accelerationist, burn it all down protest vote. What's going to happen in Kentucky is going to be decided by Kentuckians in that district. Let it play out. That's my final word. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then.
Welcome back to this Real America's Voice news break. I'm Terrence Bates. Let's take you right to Kansas City, Missouri, where Vice President J.D. Vance is speaking in a manufacturing plant.
The President of the United States would take special note of you. I will tell you that the President, he will note if you're wearing anything other than a solid navy blue jacket. And I learned this the hard way, not just that, but he likes more conservative dress. I learned this the hard way last year, because it's tradition for the Vice President to welcome the Irish Prime Minister every St. Patrick's Day. So we do this big thing at our house at the Naval Observatory, and then we do a meeting at the Oval Office. And I decided to wear my shamrock socks to welcome the Irish Prime Minister. And we're sitting down in front of God and everybody and probably 100 TV cameras on a live press conference. And the president starts his remarks and then he looks over and says, "What is going on with those socks?" So I learned the hard way, dress conservatively around the President of the United States. But thank you all for what you're doing. And here's some good news. Ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing the United States of America back, and it's starting right here in the great state of Missouri. Now, I want to talk about just a few of the things that we've been doing to try to rebuild the United States of America, because I'm 41 years old. And for my entire life, the story of my hometown, the story of great manufacturers like this one, is that they were shedding jobs instead of creating jobs. And that workers were suffering instead of thriving. And that we saw factories in our own hometowns and our own home states closing down instead of rebuilding and adding. And what Donald Trump has done in just 18 months with the support of the great congressional leadership that's here today is that we have made it great to build in the United States of America once again. We're investing in the United States of America once again, and we're investing in American workers. Now that is not an accident, my friends. It didn't happen through accident. It happened through the deliberate decisions of the President of the United States and some of these congressional leaders here today. You ask yourself, how is it that we shocked economists' expectations and we added 123,000 jobs just last month? How is it that we've seen the biggest growth in manufacturing employment last quarter that we have seen in this country since Donald J. Trump was president the first time? How is it that we've seen our construction workers and our manufacturers benefit from this great American economic recovery? And it's simple. We decided to put American businesses and, most importantly, American workers first for a change. We decided to fight for you instead of fight against you, which